really do think that everything is regulated by hormones, and I feel like people have traditionally studied female or male bodies and just assumed that women were the same, taking out like their, this thing, the 60 Minutes did a great piece a couple years ago, they referred to it as pesky hormones. So even just a couple years ago, Addyi, that female Viagra that came out, they tested it on women, and women had such an adverse reaction to it that they canceled the trials and tested on men, and they got approval. What, like, that's insane to me, right? That we're gonna give a drug to women that women can't handle in the tests, and so we just decide that it's too complicated because of their hormones. So anyway, that's we can talk about that if you want at the end. But so men's heads tend to be 9% larger than women's, even when you correct for body size. And historically, people thought of that as a sign that men were more intelligent. But through autopsies, they've been able to figure out, and MRIs and all these scans that they can do now, that women have the same number of brain cells, they're just more tightly packed. So I like to say we're just more efficient with our brain space. And then the other thing that they're starting to realize is that through our menstruation cycle, your brain can change up to 25% in certain areas. So that has to do with decision making, that has to do with moods, it has to do with all the stuff. That's a huge percentage, right? Something they're just starting to figure out about, but something that's probably really important for us to understand so that we have a better handle on how we're handling ourselves in these different brain patterns. I mean, that's a massive swing. And so there's a German study that was done that basically did some cognitive testing on men and women and had them in brain scan machines and saw that women used totally different brain circuits to solve cognitive problems than men did. But they got to the same answer, like they got to the right answer the same amount of time. It took women a little bit longer to get there because they use these different circuits. So then that opens up a great question, like why are we using different circuits? And it's taking us longer, but are we adding something to that equation? Are we just slower? Probably not. There's probably some other variable in there that they haven't really determined yet. And then I feel like this is probably the most important component of this for this talk, which is that in the sort of sectors of language and hearing, in those centers of the brain, women have 11% more neurons than men, right? And in the hippocampus, which is the center for emotion and memory function, women are also have larger sort of parts of their brain to function. And so, this sort of idea that we're predisposed to be better communicators seems to actually be biologically based. So I feel like that's something to think about because I think, a lot of times we get into these situations where we sort of feel like, oh, men are dominating the conversation or they're so good at expressing, what they need and sort of being aggressive. And I don't think that we're evaluating that properly. I think we have to sort of switch the paradigm and say, actually, we're sort of predisposed to be better at this. Why are we not accomplishing these things the way that we want to? And so I want to get into a little bit of like, why is it so hard for us as a culture to listen? And this isn't just women, this is women and men. And so, people tend to remember 25 to 50% of what they've heard. That's not very much, right? And so, that sort of makes you wonder, like, what are all the things that you missed?